It's the visit with a person of high strangeness. Today we're going to do the predictions for 2016. I want to tell you about something. When I was very young, I had to be perfect, and that's because the environment that I had to grow up in. And when I wasn't perfect, it had consequences. Now, I'm a baby boomer, so most baby boomers know what consequences mean. They smack you in the mouth really good. So there came a point when I was trying to learn how to not be perfect. And I worked on it really, really hard. And today you can really see I'm getting better at it all the time. Some of you have known me to do this and watched me do this 21 times. This is the 19th year that I do the predictions for the United States. And only twice, we had to update it because everything happened so fast. The first time was the year 9/11 happened, and there was also an election year. And then last year, because I did the predictions by myself. My friend Kanashi Bushan, that you know well, she had 2 strokes and a brain bleed, so she couldn't go to that part of her brain. And so I decided to do this myself, and it worked out so well that I'm going to do it like that again this time. But what happened is everything had happened so fast, and telling time doing readings is like Kanashibushan would say, like hitting the moon with a paper clip. And because everything happened so fast, I found it necessary to go back and do a second show. So hopefully we have learned something, because the reason for these readings for these predictions are that I'm troubleshooting, and anything we don't like, we are able to change that. But last year, in 2015, nobody changed anything, so I was 99% accurate. And that's scary for me, because it has nothing to do with me being accurate. I want us to change things so it doesn't come out the way I'm looking at it, in case we don't like that. For those of you that has never watched me do this, when I say I'm looking at it or I see, I don't see anything. It's a perception and an interpretation of what I perceive. So when I say, oh, I'm looking at it or I see, I don't see anything, okay? And I always have to laugh, because I think about Nostradamus, the poor man. He must have lost his mind, because he was looking at things that hadn't even been invented yet. So I'm a little better off, because most of the things I'm looking at, I know what they are, for the most part. So the way this works, first I want to show you, I dug out Dr. Jordan's UFOs again. Let's see, I'm supposed to hold it like that. For those of you that haven't seen it, he took this from Groom Lake. I can't remember the name. Originally, I was going to make this an opening shot, and then we had a change in plans. In one of the upcoming shows, I will show you again what that looked like. It was a little bleep, and when they made it bigger, they realized what it was. And by the way, this is man-made. But when they were looking at it, it was unidentified. And let's see, here's another one. And here, one more. And see, there you go. This is what it looks like when you're not straight. Okay? So I just wanted to show that to you again. Now, the way this works, I have another deck of cards. In America, people want to see what I'm doing. I can't just sit here and talk to you, because that would really look crazy. So I work up a paper here for a long-term projection, and I did this one on the 20th of September 2015. So I'm going to read you what I came up with. I'll change my glasses here so I can see. You know me, you're a year older, and every year someone else quits. So, here we go. It pointed out to notice the dates, which was Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So it's March, August, and December. And it says there would be some impulsiveness and intolerance, and I can say that word, I can't say it, a total that would bring things to a close, and things would be inactive. And I'm assuming that would be the election, because I don't think anybody knows anything about the election at all until October of next year. So all this polling and things I think is almost irrelevant at this point. The next thing would be there was a withdrawal of cooperation, invested interests, and we would get selfish and feel depressed and have suffocating phobias. And I think that has to do with an increase of paranoia. Our conspiracy theorists and some of the tea parties is going to come up with all kinds of ideas that really have no merit. So get ready for that. Don't believe what you see on TV, and only half of what you read on the internet. So if you want to stay informed, kind of, instead of just taking it for what it looks like, kind of investigate that a little bit, okay? Then there is a postponement and a rejection of plans, troublesome relationships. We're going to get our feelings hurt, and it will lower our defense. And I think that has to do with the skirmishes, but we can't call it a war, but the skirmishes in Iraq, now that Russia has entered the picture here. We will have external disturbances. Economic and financial situations will be difficult to handle because we can either do one or the other. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but I think it has to do with China, the trade agreements, and there will be a little financial blackmail somewhere. The female reproductive organs are still on top of the list of discussion. I have no idea why, because that all should have been settled. And that's going to resurface when they start arguing about women's health again. So then, the next thing is we have many rivers and waterfalls that is a little slow. In other words, there isn't enough water there. And then there's some research, evidently, either in the making or coming, where they make changes in, I don't know what that is, like in medication, like if you're thirsty, you take a pill or something. I don't know how that's going to play out. But it has to do with the drought. And they will make discoveries in structures in the water, and also how to convert salt water into drinking water. And then, because the earth is ancient, we have to get back to some of the old tradition and listen to some of the wise people that we have, so we won't be disappointed, because at the moment we are accepting deceit and lies because we think it's really going to benefit us. So indigenous people from all around the world are going to be sought after again for their knowledge. Charitable powers will be sensitive with the passing of time, and now and profits will suffer. In other words, people are not going to make as much profit as they like. Don't know if that has to do with changing of laws or things get cheaper or anything like that. But people find it necessary to hold on to their money a little tighter. So what they give away is going to be a lot less than it is right now. Also, many places have laws against homelessness that I don't understand, but where it restricts us from giving money and things to people that beggars, people that really need our help. So we have almost reached the top, but we're not quite there yet. So we have to go a little further. We have to make one step forward, and then we go two back, like it has been over the last, I would say, 10 years or so. So nothing changes there. Feminine energy will be present in Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, which would be January, May, and October. In October, and I'm assuming that has to do with some of the local election. I think more females will be elected than males this time around. Then we have burning embers. We'll burn more fires. So there will be a lot more fires, and a lot of that has to do with karma. There's going to be a battle about the voting rights. People don't want to go vote. The election, we're going to look at that here in a minute. The election is going to be a little different than normal because a lot of people don't want to go to the polls. They're either disgusted or discouraged, or it's going to be too complicated for them to vote. But we want to make sure we don't have false idol and heroes. And I think that has to do with Mr. Trump, because lots of people idolize him. He's a star, so you want to be careful with that. And travel is going to increase. More Americans will go overseas and to little islands on vacation, a lot more than it is now. And the other thing I noticed too, water is going to be a commodity that is going to be almost more valuable than oil. So, yeah, that global warming thing is really on the way, and it's here to stay. So get used to it and adjust what you the way you do things and the way you live. Yeah. So instead of 2 showers a day, how about 1? Okay. So now let's go see what we have here. I think I'm going to make the country legally immature this year. I'm not sure what that means, but we'll see. So here starts the actual reading. Oops. I'm 3 weeks late on these predictions. It's cold outside. My fingers are swollen. So I can't even shuffle these cards. Let me try it again. Wow. Okay. Now remember, anything you don't like, we have to change it, or else I'm going to be right again. Okay, so make me wrong. Starts off with a caution, and that has to do with money. It says that there would be a little trickle. So profits are going to get smaller, like I said earlier, and is no one going to get rich overnight here? So I'm thinking we will have budget arguments again. It would not be good to cut a lot of social programs, because that's not going to help anybody. And then I work with 2 decks. I'm going to show you what I got here. It's this card here. To me, it means the ending of something. In other words, it will come to an end. And when I have 2 or something, it makes sure that I paid close attention to that. So we're going to have to get back to that here after a while. So whatever we're suffering from, we will come to an end. Tourism is going to increase. We're going to be able to juggle things. There will be some changes in the military. And what that means, more military is going to leave the shores. In other words, I'm assuming more soldiers will go overseas than has been. So there has to be a change in policy there somewhere. So if we think that our men are not going overseas in this conflict that we have here, I think we are mistaken. So that does not look very good. I'm trying to move my hand so it won't be in the way here. Marriage is on the increase again, and I'm assuming that has something to do with social structure. It's going to be harder for single mothers to take care of their children. So I think more people will get married, so you have 2 people in the household. That's not very pleasant either, because some people just don't want to get married for that reason. So very immature decisions will be made. I'm trying to keep my hand out of here, if you don't mind. Everything that's going to happen this year we have seen all this before. So when we say it can't get any worse or can't get any better, that's a cliche, because everything we're doing now, we have seen it before. We regurgitate it, we rename it, and a new generation is doing the same thing. And so that's why I always think living on Earth is a classroom. The textbooks are the same. And when we graduate and leave here, the next bunch comes. I think the stock market is going to be on the rise here for a minute. But that's an illusion. It's not going to stay like that. So I'm not sure if that has to do with the election. Sometimes money is manipulated to make a point about something. So I'm almost thinking it would be really easy to manipulate the money in order to sway elections a certain way. I think we're going to run ourselves into a box there for a minute. And I'm going to stick with that. I am going to stick with that. More states will legalize marijuana because of the taxes and everything. But we have to give up something to get something. It's very hard for anybody to be treated with respect. So I consider myself, well, I'm not considering, I am a baby boomer. So some of us, we heading 70 at the moment. And what it is, we look at things different than the young people do. We have to learn the new technology and everything. And of course, we're a little wiser, or so we think. And because of that, we're very eager to give you an opinion or to try to be helpful, except what we were doing is totally outdated, and to remind you, the world is where it is because of us baby boomers. And so it would be really well thought out if we voted for a younger generation in politics. because they have, well, it wasn't just that they adjusted, they were born into a totally different environment and a different system. So it would really be helpful for somebody, young people, to take the rein, because they understand their world so much better than we do. It's like we have to go to school. Some people don't even know how to email. And so we have to make room for the new people. So we really have to make room for the new people. It goes for the politicians and for everybody. Now, rewriting history books is not the thing to do, because with the new technology, if we want to know something, if you research it, you get to the real story. You know, there's a story and then there's the real story. But when you go to that voting booth, kind of think about that. You know, when we say, well, this person has experience. Well, yeah, 50 years ago, we were really good at what we were doing. Well, we were not so good at what we were doing. And so look at the person that you're voting for, because they will have to represent you for, the next 4 years or longer even. The religious right, is really pushing the envelope here, because you cannot demand that people understand what it is you want them to do as about your definition. So we have to change we have to change the way we look at religious belief systems, and especially how they fit in with our everyday living and our politics. And we can be really focused, and that's a good thing, except you can't get from point A to C. You have to do B first. And when you're trying to force a change, per se, most of the time that doesn't work, because there is a definite order to things. Besides that, there is a universal order, and sometimes what we want to do is absolutely not the same. I see a lot of changes in the prison systems, and in my opinion, that's a good thing, because there's a lot of injustice going on in that area. So I think the next administration will continue what we have started now, to take a closer look on the sentencing guidelines and things like that. Oh boy. The situation with the drugs, so many young people are addicted, and baby boomers, we were addicted also, but to lesser evils than what we have in the world now. So instead of sending people to jail, we're going to have to help them, if that's possible, treatment and really be a little more compassionate than what we are at the moment. And I'm thinking there's going to be arguments in reference to that, which would probably be in the courts. And maybe they have to start from scratch. Most cities, most places have homeless camps with tents and things. And I know here in Olympia, where I live, first we had Camp Coyote, and now we're building small structures for homeless people. And I think this is going to catch on more and more around the country. It's not going to take care of homelessness itself, but as people criminalize homelessness, it's going to help just a little bit to get the people off the street. Because with global warming, the winters is going to be horrendous, and quite a few people will die in the streets if we don't start right now. It's already snowing. There are legal battles in reference to health care. I hope that's not that Obamacare thing again, because that's like beating a dead horse to death. That's done. Move on, you know. Maybe some of the insurance companies could tweak things a little bit, but it makes no sense to get so tied up again that things will collapse. Now here's a very powerful woman. I think it's Elizabeth Warren. I think whoever gets elected is going to find a place for her other than where she is now. And that's going to be a good thing, because her insight was spending and contribute. No, what do you call that? Not contributing. Allocated. That's the word I'm looking for. And the way she would allocate the money would be really helpful. Excuse me. Would really be helpful. There will be respect issues, loving issues. People are not loving, so the brutality that we see right now, I do not see an end to that at all. I think that has to do with police brutality. I see some of the law enforcement will be imprisoned, and but that's only temporary. So people that object to such treatment will be quiet and go away. But there are a couple of little changes there. Interesting. You know, nothing's going to be decided politically until October, like I said earlier. So we can go back and forth, back and forth. I see females in the administration. But since I know who's not going to be president. Mr. Trump, Mr. Carson, and the lady, the Republican lady, but I don't remember her name right now. They will not become president. However, there are females in those administrations, and that's a good thing, because females have foresight, and that will be a good thing. The job situation is going to be stagnant. In other words, it's going to come to a halt there momentarily. And then it's almost like we have to start from scratch. Lots of loose ends. I have two of these again. Lots of loose ends to be tidied up. So I'm thinking, this is October. I think the Obama administration in 2015 is trying to pull as many things together as they can, because nobody is sure what is next. New contracts, new alliances. Whatever Miss Merkel in Germany does also affects us here is going to affect us here in the United States. So rumors are already going around how we're going to handle the refugees. Everything is just so up in the air right now. Everything is so up in the air, but there will be some changes in Germany, and I think that has to do with the refugees. On the other hand, man has what I mean by man, mankind. Not men per se. But as human beings, we always think that we have everything that we have a handle on everything. On the other hand, I believe that everything is in a divine order, even things that don't appear to work out very well. And so if we want to make a right and it forces us to make a left, sometimes it takes us somewhere where we're supposed to be. And what I'm looking at here is kind of like that. We think we go in one way, but we really not. We're making a lot of detours because we're not where we're supposed to be in the universal order here. And then, so if it happens a little at a time, that's really better than if you, boom, just one big out of left field like that, then you don't know what to do. So it's much better to have a little disagreement and a little disagreement and a little disagreement, because we really have to concentrate on how we treat people, not just within the United States, but also our allies and the people around us. And it almost looks like things are going to change pretty drastic. And somebody's going to take pot shots at us. Now, what I mean by pot shots, that don't mean shooting at us. That means someone is going to be very unhappy with the way the United States is doing things next year. Issues with Florida. I think that's weather related. I think it's weather related. On the other hand, I don't know if you remember or not, we had two presidents one time. In the year we did two predictions. We had two presidents. We couldn't tell who the president was. And it turned out to be true. It was Mr. Bush and Mr. Gore. And it was the Florida courts that decided who was president. That's how President Bush got elected. And what I'm looking at here is the same combination. It's the same, almost the same, very similar setup here. Wouldn't that be something? We've been there, done that. I'm not sure about this one, okay? But the election is going to be messy, I think. And it says I'm accurate on this one. So get ready for a roller coaster ride here. It goes back to our money situation. Not too much improvement. I'm thinking that the minimum wage will be increased in almost all states, and that's a good thing. But here again, it says you got to give up something to get something. So I'm assuming a lot more stores, chains, will close or merge. So they can cut down, actually they can cut down on the employees since they have to pay out more money. So several mergers are going to occur next year. Issues with suntan beds and things like that. That's interesting. As time goes on, the mental health community is going to come up with more names for disorders. So there will be a new pill for this and a new pill for that. And what it really is, people don't want to go with the flow anymore. So before a mental disorder is created, maybe we should just talk more and educate people as to how things really are. So if you get in your, if you wake up in the morning, you jump in the car and there's a jam on the freeway, that has a logical explanation. You didn't get up in time, you got on the freeway too fast, too late, and that's why you're late for work. So don't call it a disorder, an anxiety disorder, because you're stuck on the freeway. I think what's happening, people aren't sorting out emotions or lines of thinking anymore because everything has a label and a pill. So I'm thinking we need to take a look at that. Many people do not meditate if they don't have time, or they don't know how, or they think it's a foreign, what should I call it, a foreign praxis or something like that. But just to turn off your equipment and be quiet for a moment and look within yourself at the end of the day and look and see what you have accomplished and see what you can change the next day. That applies to people, but that also applies to the country. We're constantly on the move. We're going. Maybe we ought to just sit back and look at the big picture here. I think we lost a little sight of things here. I think a woman is going to be appointed to the Supreme Court in 2016. Unfortunately, the mass shootings that we are experiencing as a people, that is going to continue, and mainly because of the immature decisions we make as to how to control that problem. And I can actually use the word control because that is something we can't change, you know. We can legally change this. This is my legal card here, so it would really be helpful if someone was to look into that and change that a little bit and actually come out successfully on that. You know, where you could accommodate people's belief system and the way they look at things. And everybody could kind of chip in and try to straighten that out, because it makes no sense to have to live like that. Having said all of that, even after we sort out our emotions, mental illness is on the rise, but I would like to put that in a different category, you see. So I'm talking about maybe schizophrenia and PTSD is massive. Like I had the privilege of spending time with a group. They were called 22 Too Many. And they talking about how 22 soldiers, ex-soldiers and soldiers, kill themselves each day. Now, this is just in America. Each day, 22 people commit suicide because they can't deal with anything. Now, look at how long we have been in a war. So we need more care for our veterans. But not everything is a disorder, and not everything can be treated as a mental something. So kind of rethink that a little bit, you know. Family problems, the family unit, the structure of the family unit is breaking down. There will be issues with that in 16. Now, to go back to the beginning, one of the things we talked about, that more people would be married out of necessity. So it's also possible because of that well, if you get married for a reason, you know, for money or something like that, then you're not so loving and giving with your spouse. So that's the drawback to that. So divorces, marriages be on the rise, divorces will be on the rise. And I'm so far in the reading, and I still don't know which party is going to win. That's not good. I really thought I could sort that out. A real turbulent summer, droughts, like the drought will continue, the fires will continue. The military is going to run short on soldiers. So, yeah, I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it looks. Our involvement in the Middle East, that doesn't look very well. So instead of getting better is not a good word, because better is more the same. Instead of things coming to an end, I think they will continue. And military will be deployed, what they call it, boots on the ground or something like that. Very immature decisions. Very immature decisions. I hate to say this, but what needs to happen during the election, it has to be a mixture of Democrats and Republicans, where someone gets elected from each party, where they could. I'm dreaming. I'm not looking. I'm dreaming. Where they actually could work together, because one or the other, one is too extreme one way, and the other is too extreme to the other side. And at this time, I can't determine what I'm looking at, because they're both radical decisions. I'm going to pick this up. Let me go see if I can sort out and see how this politician thing's going to go. And if you heard that noise, that was my stomach. Oh, that was so loud. My stomach's growling. Let me see here. Recalls, there will be a couple of recalls in medication. Car recalls will continue. Let's see what else. We're just moving too fast. We are just moving too fast. Nobody really thinks out anything. So let me go see what this says here. This is going to be a story here. Go with the flow when it comes to jobs and occupations. There will be legal hearings when it comes to money and students. So I'm assuming the structure of the student loans will be changed. No matter how we go about it, it's going to come out the same. It's going to come out the same way, but we want to be careful because if not, boom, something's going to change just like that. Diseases in fish. I'm not talking about ocean fish. Is it ocean? No, it's fish. I would think rivers. So pollution in ponds and rivers are problem with the food supply. Possible that it's GMO or something, but almost looks like it's a little more complicated than that. So we will have issues with the food supply next year. Says that's accurate. Yeah, we're just trying to go from point A to point C without following the process. No changes in the tax system. I don't like it. Let's see. It would be helpful if each person would take a little time and sit and reflect to see who they are, where they go, and what it is they want to do. Because at the moment, it's almost bipolar. It's either real good or it's real bad. And we need to educate the young people. Like, for instance, I have, I have children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. And I am in awe of my grandchildren. They're real savvy, they're real smart and everything. But when it comes to even recent history, the last 30, 40 years, they're not educated because they're not being taught anything in school, so they really don't have a point of reference. We need to teach, I don't know what you call that generation, but they between 18 and 25, I would think, it would really be good if we could educate, or that's the wrong word, but if we could share more of ourselves and our experiences with that generation, because it's really time that us baby boomers let go and let the young people take care of things. But they have to be wise, and they have to have a point of reference. That's what's not there. The point of reference is not there. And so everybody is educated when it comes to schooling and diplomas and things, but we need to make sure that our young people are educated what it is we need to do in life. And there has to be a middle here, so it's not either. So that this horrible divide that has been created in the last few years, it's either this or that, and the whole world's been black and white. Well, it's not. There's a lot of gray there, and the way we look at things, there's just a lot of gray, and we have to give them the tools to come to an even keel so they can fix some of these messes that's been created here. That's in the story, by the way. Woo. Yeah, and I'm gonna stick with that. I am gonna stick with that. I don't know if anybody had any questions. Did anybody have any questions? I have a little audience here. Any questions? No, she doesn't have any questions. Control room, any questions? No. I must be doing okay then if nobody has any questions. Say again?
No questions from us.
No questions. So must be going pretty good. And here again, I'm troubleshooting. So change what you don't agree with. And this way I'm not going to be right at all. Next time I sit here, I'm going to say, you know what? This was so great. Everything I said was not right. So that's what we're aiming for, okay? So I have two of these again. Now that means that everything is going to come out exactly the way it's supposed to. And as of right now, I cannot tell you who's going to be president. It looks like it's a mixture of two parties. So I'm going to rewind this. Recalls on medication, recalls on cars. The drought and the fires are going to continue. The storms are somewhat better. Money is going to stabilize somewhat. Minimum wage is going to be everywhere, but business is going to close, so you probably have less full-time employees. Prison system is going to be overhauled. The arguments about women's reproductive rights is going to continue. We're going to be able to juggle things. We're going to have to demand a little more respect in places. Florida's going to have an issue. A female.
30 seconds.
I got 30 seconds. We're going to quit now. You come see me again next week with, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but please make these changes and make me wrong for 2016, okay? Thank you for stopping by. And it was my pleasure, okay? So we'll see you on the flip side. Thank you, crew.
Miss Lilian, we'd like to thank you for all the fun you took us here. Take us there, and it's just because you really care. for all the fun. Take us here, and you take us there.